Do you remember Asterix, Obelix and their fellow Gaul warriors? They were afraid only of one thing, that the sky will fall onto their heads. What if they were right? Hello, this is Michel Leviathan Sorbet and this is a new episode of Wojennik TV. Today a review of a game which I have already showed on Wojennik TV during an unboxing and also during an after-action report in Polish. This will be the review of Under Falling Skies, published in 2020 by Czech Games Edition. So today we will be checking if the skies falling on our head can be dangerous as the goals expected, but not literally, because in this game we will be fighting against an alien invasion. An alien invasion which will target one of our cities. Our objective will be to defend the city and to finally shut down the enemy mothership. The game was designed by Tomasz Ölik and it was created at first as a print-and-play game published on BoardGameGeek in 2019. It was so critically acclaimed that it was taken by Czech Games Edition and published as a boxed, enhanced version of this game in 2020. This is a solitaire game for players aged 12 or higher and with a very interesting time of play because we can play a scenario in somewhere around 20 to 40 minutes. I'd like also to tell you at that moment that this will be a review without any spoilers because this game has not only this scenario mode, it has only a big and very developed campaign mode in which we are unveiling additional elements while playing the campaign. So I won't be spoiling anything about this campaign. I will not be showing you any elements which are used during the campaign game. I will focus on the scenario mode, both on the basic and on the advanced rules. So let's now take a look at Under Falling Skies, then I'll briefly explain how the game works, and at the end of this video I'll give you my final thoughts and my final recommendation. So let's begin. Here is Under Falling Skies, published by Czech Games Edition. At first, let's take a look at the elements which are inside this intriguing and interesting box. I have already showed you this game during an unboxing, but I'd like to briefly explain how those components are used. Now, first of all, what we will be needing during a game will be the game board. This game board is a modular one, which is composed of several tiles, which will show us the space above the city that we will be defending. In the base game we have three cities. We have Roswell, we have Washington and New York, and each time we will be defending such a city. Those cities are double-sided tiles, as you can see, with different game changes due to some special rules which are printed on those tiles. Each tile tells us also which underground tiles we will be using in order to construct our underground facility. But above this city is the sky from where the alien ships will be coming, and they will be spawned from a very specific location. This location will be the mothership of the aliens. This mothership hovers above the city that we will be defending, and each turn it will be launching those small alien aircraft in order to attack the city which is at the bottom of the playing area. Those tiles are also double-sided, which means that we can use one side or the other. Those sides with those additional elements are meant to be harder because they have more event elements on them,
more difficult and more annoying effects when the mothership reaches such a row, and finally a higher technology requirement when we try to reach the top technology level in order to destroy the alien mothership. Now, the goal of the game, the objective of the game, is to stop the aliens in the try of destroying our city. In order to do this, we have to develop our technology, a special technology which will enable us to destroy the alien mothership. So we have to reach the top of the technology track and to develop the highest numbered technology possible. If we do achieve it, we can win, but we lose in two cases. The first one is if the mothership reaches the row where the red skull is indicated. If it does, it means that we have failed and we lose the game. The second way for which we can lose also the game is by having too big amount of damage in our underground structures. And let's now take a look at those structures, because the top part above the city is interesting, but what is underneath is even more interesting. Now, this is the underground facility which we will be managing during the game, which is composed of corridors and of rooms in which different things can be done. As you can see, we have a sort of a track which enables us to activate different rooms for different actions. As you can see, we have different colors. Each room has its own specific color. We have red rooms, which are for our military aircraft, which will be launched in order to destroy the small alien vessels hovering above the city. We have the green rooms, which will enable us to develop our technology, which ultimately will lead to the final destruction of the alien mothership. We have yellow rooms, which will produce energy tracked on this track at the far left of this underground facility. We have also blue rooms, which are the robot rooms, which will produce additional robots and will grant us additional robot dice, which will be placed inside our facility in order to activate the different rooms. Finally, we have the gray anti-aircraft facilities, which will slow down the alien ships hovering above the city. At the beginning of the game, we have access only to a few of those rooms, which are at the top part of the facility to the left of this machine. Now, this is the excavator, which will be used during the game in order to dig and to unlock new rooms. It will be moved alongside this board, and each time it is moved, it grants us access to all the rooms which are behind it. So it will be absolutely crucial to create those new rooms, to uncover them in order to unlock special abilities. As you can see, some of those rooms require us to use energy. Some also indicate that a die placed on such a space will be modified. Sometimes it will be a positive modifier, sometimes a negative one. As you can also see, some rooms are composed of more than one space. In order to fully use such a room, or even to use such a room, you have to occupy both spaces on such a room. So if you occupy only one such space, the room is not activated at all. You have to occupy both spaces. How can you occupy? Well, this is done during the dice phase, because the game is divided into three phases. The first phase is the die roll phase, is the dice phase, during which you will be rolling dice. And when doing so, you will be using the starting dice, which are at the start 2 white dice and 3 gray dice. And those dice are rolled. And then we allocate those dice to empty spaces in our underground facility. We can place only one die in each column, so we cannot place, for instance, one die here and one die here. It's not legal. You can, however, put those in such a way, so each column will have to have only one die. Additionally, each time you place a white die inside your underground facility, you have to re-roll all the dice which weren't placed. So sometimes you'll get 2 re-rolls, sometimes only 1 if the last die placed is a white die. When all dice are placed, it's the end of the dice. It's the end of the dice phase. But placing those dice is only part of the game. Each time you place a die inside a room, you have also to look for all the alien spaceships which are at the same column and move them towards your city, the same number of spots, the number of spots equal to the dots on the die that you placed. So if I place a 6 in this column, I would have to move each and every alien spaceship which is in this column 6 spaces closer to my city. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If such an alien ship ends its movement on a special place, on a special square, you have also to resolve the effect. And those effects can be displace the ship in the direction indicated, which means that such a ship can potentially move twice during a turn or even more if this column has not yet been activated. You can also, when ending your movement on such a space, immediately move the alien ship 1 row closer to your city. If you end your movement on a space with a number, this indicates that this spaceship can potentially be shot down by your fighters if you activate one of the red rooms inside your underground facility. After moving all those alien ships, after placing all your dice inside your underground facility, you pass to the rooms phase when you resolve each and every of those rooms. Now, I said earlier that the yellow rooms produce energy. So if you have a room with energy, you can produce the number of energy equal to the sum of the dice placed inside such a room. Or if it is a single spot room, you just receive the number indicated. In this case, a 4 would be modified to 3, so I would receive 3 units of energy, which is tracked on this track to the left of my underground facility. If I have yellow rooms, if I have green rooms, I can increase my technology level. Now, the technology track is thought in such a way that in order to progress on such a track, I have to accumulate technology points during a single turn. So for instance, in order to move to the second spot, I have to have at least 2 points of technology produced inside one and only one room. If I want to move further, I would have to have a bigger number. So if I have, for instance, a room which granted me 6 technology points, I would be able to move instantly to this spot. But if I had, for instance, only a 3 on my die, I would be able only to move 1 step forward. I wouldn't be able to move to the 3 because this would require 3 additional technology points. Now, because the final and the ultimate objective is to reach the 11th spot, it is obvious that in order to do this, you have to unlock the special room which is at the bottom of the board, which enables you to have a result of 11 or higher. Of course, those boards are also double-sided, and sometimes they will have different types of rooms which will grant you different technology levels and with different with different types of rooms on those tiles. The blue rooms, as I said earlier, give you additional blue dice which are placed on a room of your choosing and which will be activated from turn to turn. But each time you do activate such a die, you will have to reduce its value by 1. You can also dig additionally inside your underground facility by moving your excavator. If you place a dice somewhere in front of the excavator, you can move it the number of spots indicated by such a die, and you can unlock new rooms by doing so. The anti-aircraft, as I said earlier, will be used in order to slow down enemy ships. So for instance, placing such a die on my anti-aircraft spot would mean that all enemy space ships would be moved 1 spot less than normally what the die indicates. So in this case it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and not 6. When all the dice are removed from my underground facility, it's the third phase, it's the mothership phase. During the mothership phase, we first of all move the mothership, activate or resolve the special action. In this case, it would mean that I would have to move my excavator back 2 spots. The white symbols indicate that the mothership will spawn a new white fighter. We respawn the ships, so we prepare all the ships which were maybe shot down during our actions, and we prepare them to be launched during the next turn. We play in such a way until we reach our objective, so we acquire the required number of technology points, or if we lose, as I said earlier, we can lose if the mothership descends to the row where the skull is indicated, or also we can take a lot of damage because each time an alien ship reaches the city level which we are defending, so it reaches the row and it passes to the city, it inflicts 1 point of damage. Such a ship is removed back to the mothership and it is ready to be spawned once more during one of our die placements. And this is pretty much it when it comes to the basing and also some of the advanced rules of Under Falling Skies. Now, I haven't spoken about the campaign mode because we do have a campaign mode in this game in which you unlock additional tiles, in which you unlock additional rules. But this is all part of the fun in this game. I won't be revealing anything of this. I won't be spoiling anything about the campaign. It's up to you to discover all those magnificent new elements which are inside the box of Under Falling Skies. Rather than doing this, I'd like to now pass to a conclusion and to tell you briefly what I think about this game, what I like in it, and what I think is also a little bit weaker point of this title.
Under Falling Skies is a game that I really wanted to try, and because of several reasons. The first one is because this is a solitaire game and I am always keen on solitaire games. I like games which are strictly designed for solitaire play. The second reason is this is a dice game. I like dice games a lot. I love games in which we have tons of dice, and I like also this combination of solitaire dice games because we do not have a lot of those. Even if we take a look at BoardGameGeek, we have a selection of those games, but this is not a very big selection. If we add the third reason, which is the alien setting, we have even fewer. And adding the fourth component, the very interesting and very friendly time of play of 30 to 40 minutes, we have a very restricted, limited selection of such games. So Under Falling Skies on paper was something that I was very anxious to try. And having played this game now, and when reviewing this game, I must say that this comparison of my expectations and what I received are really good. I am really satisfied with this game. I think it's one of the best games that I have discovered in the recent months, and I will tell you why. Firstly, let's take a brief look at the components and at the quality of the elements that we receive in the box of Under Falling Skies. Here I must say that I was impressed by the quality of the components, not because I think that Czech Games Edition have a problem in this sector. In contrary, I think they have a very high standard quality games, but this was a print and play game, and I was curious to see how this game was enhanced by Czech Games Edition, how the quality of the components changed. And they are very functional, they are very pretty, they are of a high quality, and I must say that during gameplay the quality of those components was not a hinder, it helped me a lot. I like the way how the information are presented on the tiles. I like also how the rulebook was written. It's really one of the highest standards. Now, there are some minor issues. Firstly, there is, for instance, one symbol, one action of the mothership which is missing from the rulebook. Secondly, there are some small issues concerning some minor rules during the campaign mode, but those are not very big omissions or things that will influence your gaming experience. I have seen a complaint on BoardGameGeek about displaced information on the tiles which consist the alien part of the board, but my copy of the game didn't have such an issue, so at the moment I am making this video I haven't seen more complaints than this one. I cannot say if this is an issue concerning this copy or maybe a bigger part of this print. So when it comes to the quality of the components, it's really a very high standard game. Secondly, what I like in Under Falling Skies is the climate, because we have a lot of games which try to tell you a story, which are meant to be set somewhere, for instance in Egypt or in space, but in fact then when you play the game you have no feeling of playing a space game or an Egyptian game. They are very abstract. In Under Falling Skies, I was afraid that this will also be the same case, that this will be a game about aliens, but de facto a game in which we will be just allocating dice. And fortunately, I must say that this game is very climatic. I like the way how the mechanics were linked with theme. I like also the story arc in this game, and I think that this is a game in which you will really feel this rising tension, and you will be feeling like a general or maybe an engineer who tries to develop your underground facility and at the same time stop the alien invasion. This will be something extremely pleasant when you manage to develop your technology and to shut down the enemy mothership. I like how the game evolves, because at the start you begin with tons of options. You have a simple goal. You have to increase your production capabilities in digging further with your excavator, and you have a lot of time. You feel you have a lot of time. The mothership is very high. The spaceships, the alien spaceships, take a long time to descend, and you have the feeling that you have a lot of freedom, you have a lot of options, and you do. But the game rises in tension. You feel that those ships, that the mothership becomes closer each turn, and I like this feeling. I like how the game evolves and rises in tension. At the same time, I like also the fact that you have really a lot of decisions to take in this game, because I really like how this correlation between the power of a die is at the same time linked to the speed of the enemy vessels. Because if you get a 6, a 5, it's a very good die in terms of using it in your underground facility, but at the same time a very bad die in terms of the speed of the enemy vessel moved. So you really have to level things up. You have to make decisions when to use such high tipped die, and when to reroll thanks to the white dice. Sometimes you'll have to allocate those big numbers, sometimes you'll be allocating them wanting those enemy vessels to come closer to your city because you can shut them down. So you have really a lot of decisions to make. I love the anti-aircraft mechanic. I think it's one of the best mechanics in this game. A very simple one, but also a very clever one. Because imagine the game didn't have this mechanic. That would mean that each time an enemy vessel moves, you have to move it the exact number of spaces indicated by the die roll. So if you roll, for instance, 5 results, which mean that enemy vessels will end their movement on a special spot which makes the mothership to descend 1 row, that would mean that the mothership would descend 5 rows during 1 turn. That would be hilarious. That would be something which would ruin the game. So adding this small tweak, enabling you to control in a certain way the speed of the enemy ships descending, is excellent, is a fantastic addition to the game. At the same time, it's very well linked to the theme, because you might imagine those anti-aircraft guns trying to shoot down those enemy vessels which have to maneuver so they lose speed, etc. It's all there and it's all part of the game. What I must also very highly rate is the replay value. Now this game is sometimes repetitive, but each game will be played in a different way, because each time you will allocate dice differently, each time enemy vessels will move in a different speed. Sure, you'll have to accumulate the same amount of energy, you'll have the same underground spots if playing the same scenario with the same tiles. So the game sometimes is repetitive, but I think it still has a very good replay value, because games tend to be played in a somewhat different way because of those random die rolls. Secondly, you have two-sided cities, which can differentiate the way that you play, and you have two-sided sky tiles, which also enable you to change the difficulty level and at the same time to change the way how the game plays. But additionally, you have the campaign mode. Now, I was supposed not to speak about the campaign mode, so I won't be unveiling anything, but it really deserves to be mentioned that this game shines in the campaign mode. You have so much depth, you have so much additional fun with the campaign mode, that it adds really a lot of replay value to this title. And once more, it is so much thematic that it makes this game really stands out. So the replay value, I would rate it really very high. One more thing, which also is a thing which in my opinion is a very strong of this game, is the time of play, because you can without any problem take this game from your shelf, open the box, prepare the game and finish a game in under 45 minutes. Wow, that's really quick. So if you're looking for a solitaire game with the alien theme, which has a great replay value, which has a fantastic theme, great climate, which is intense, Under Falling Skies has it all. So what in my opinion are the weaker points of this title? I have already spoken about some small issues in the rules, about tiles, but not in my physical copy. Well, one thing is pretty obvious. It's the dice. Because it is still a dice rolling game, and you might love it or you might hate it. Dice games tend to be random. Dice games ultimately tend sometimes to be decided on the last die roll, and it happens in Under Falling Skies. This rising tension leads to the final turn, during which you need to roll a 5 and a 6 to win. If you do, you win the game. If you lose, if you don't, you lose the game. It happens in this game that this is finally decided during the final die roll, and this might make you feel sometimes that the game was random, that it was decided by luck. And you might be right, because sometimes even when making those decisions during the game, developing your facility, shooting down enemy vessels, you still will have this feeling that, well, it's up to the last die roll. But it's not a great issue, because this game is so quick, it's so intense and so thematic. But even if you lose, you won't be thinking about it for the following weeks. You'll just replay a new game and have a new experience. So for people who dislike dice rolling, it's still a dice rolling game. Of course, you can influence the die rolls in some way, but at the end you'll still have the feeling that you rolled a lot of dice, maybe had fun with the theme, but ultimately won or lost because you rolled dice. You cannot change it. It's just part of the game. Having said that, I think that Under Falling Skies is one of the best solitaire games that I have discovered during the recent months. A game with a great depth, with high quality components, with a huge replay value. A game which I will be revisiting from time to time, because it is just that good and that quick to play that I can't imagine not using this great potential. If you have the option of trying this game, you should do it, and you should check why this game is so good. This was the review of Under Falling Skies from Czech Games edition. Thank you a lot for watching this video. Take also a look at our other reviews and unboxings in English. And if you want to support Wojennik TV, you can become one of our patrons. Take a look at our Patronite account. Have a terrific day, and see you next time.